So if you're watching this channel, chances are you know about Emo Santa. And if you don't, I don't know why you're watching this channel. But what you might not know, even though I've kind of referenced it before, is the creation of Emo Santa, more specifically, its creator. Because it actually wasn't really me. I don't remember the exact story, so if I'm wrong, oops. But essentially what happened is I found out, you could emo the hat, which is what I call it when it just, the hat emos it. It makes you look emo. But then it was my friend Spenser who was the one who actually said, "Oh, Emo Santa, nobody understands your gifts." Thus the creation of Emo Santa. And today I wanted to talk a little bit more about the creator of Emo Santa, Spenser. Why? Fun stories from college. Get to make fun of a friend. Seemed like a good idea. Spenser was that one friend you have in college that you just harass for no other reason than the fact that it's funny. Granted, we were friends. There was no ill will between us, except for in a few situations, but we'll get to those. But he was just fun. We hang out, sing weird songs that I won't repeat publicly, and it's generally a good time hanging out with him in college. So why, yes, these are some of the stories of me being a little bit more mean to him. This wasn't all of it. They were the fun ones, though. To be fair, Spencer's probably watching it now and agreeing, yeah, these were fun, except for the hat one, but we'll get into that. So one thing I did pretty consistently throughout college, and honestly still do today, is I call him a moose head. He got a big head. I mean, look at him. A big head. Don't believe me? Here's a picture of us together. Moose head. So I'll be honest, I don't know how this started. I think I just wore one of his hats and made a joke about him having antlers because it was so big on my head. I was a college freshman. I made lots of stupid jokes. Or maybe I was a sophomore at that point. Still made a lot of stupid jokes sophomore year. It was when Emo Santa was born. The thing is, I don't remember exactly why I stole one of his hats, but I have an idea. Because the thing was, Spenser loved his hats. Probably still loves his hats. I haven't seen him in, gosh, it's been 8 years. For some reason, partially just because I think it annoyed him, I liked stealing his hats. It was fun. Whenever I'd leave the decks, the cafeteria, I would go put my plates away, go to the table, grab my stuff, take his hat and book it. And then he chased me because it made him mad. And it was funny. But by far the culmination of that had to be senior year. When I say he had a lot of hats, I mean he had a lot of hats. And one day I decided to get together with his roommates and take all of them. And here they are, all sitting on my bed. There's probably been more added to his collection by this point, but it's neither here nor there. And I remember very distinctly him barging into the apartment that day, very mad that we took his hats, but it was quite funny. Definitely the greatest caper of my college years. Now there was another story related to his hats, and it is by far my favorite story from college, one I'm going to do my best to get through without laughing, which is very difficult. But before we do that, I have to explain 11 o'clock moments. You see, there was this thing during sophomore year, I think we found out, that once it hit 11 o'clock, I became useless. Some switch in my brain would just flip, and all of a sudden, I was laughing, I was giggly, and I just generally was not helpful in doing any sorts of homework. And it always seemed to happen around 11 o'clock for some reason. Thus, 11 o'clock moments where my friends would tell me, "Seth, go to bed." Or more specifically, go home, because I didn't live in the same dorm, but that's a different story, which isn't as interesting. So this one particular day of sophomore year, I don't remember what was happening, but it was an 11 o'clock moment. And they told me, "Seth, go home." And so I said, fine. To understand this though, I'm gonna have to put up a bit of a graphic. This is Sutherland Hall, specifically the upstairs lobby area. There was a set of couches, a middle wall, and then the hallway, and there were doors to both sides where you could actually enter. And on the middle wall on the opposite side was a fire extinguisher. That's relevant. So when they told me to go home, I said, fine, I'll go home. And Spenser was there too, even though he's a communications major, so I don't know. He had talking to study for or something. Forgive me, I very much enjoyed teasing his communication major. He's putting it to use doing baseball stuff, so I guess it worked out. So I figured I'd leave, but as I was leaving, I decided to walk over to where Spenser was, who happened to take off both of his shoes. So I leaned down and grabbed one of his shoes, started walking out, but he began following me. Of course, I just took his shoe, turned back around into the hallway, saw the fire extinguisher, and hung the shoe on top of it. To which point, I walked around, back inside the room, him still following me at this point, shoe in hand now. I went and I grabbed his other shoe. I walked back around to where the fire extinguisher was, and hung that shoe on the fire extinguisher. Walked back around inside, saw his hat, decided to grab his hat, and at this point fell on the ground laughing because I was exhausted. And at this point, my friend said, "Seth, go home." And so I did. But having just created one of my favorite memories from college. Honestly, I thought I'd have more to say, but really that's it. But even though it's not a lot, that's still one of my favorite memories from college. We're just messing with Spenser. It was fun. We don't talk much anymore just because it's hard to keep track of everyone nowadays. But it was still just a fun time thinking back to those memories from college. If you're in college currently, enjoy it. It goes by far too fast. It's weird to think I've been out of college twice as long as I was in college. I was a freshman 12 years ago. That's weird. But I mean, I'm glad I'm not a freshman anymore, so it's not all bad, I guess. Anyway, that's enough stories about Moosehead. This is Seth. This has been a thorn in my side. I hope this didn't annoy you too much, Spenser.